I first heard it from someone who didn't believe in anything paranormal. That's why it stuck with me. If a person who laughs at ghost stories starts speaking carefully, you listen. She worked hospital intake overnight. The desk where names become wristbands and beds become assigned. The part of the building that always looks calm even when chaos is happening deeper inside. She told me that after midnight, the hospital felt like a different place. Not spooky, just off. Like the air was colder and the halls had fewer echoes. The rumor was simple. Sometimes they admitted patients who were already dead. Not a paperwork mistake. Not a paramedic getting redirected. Admitted. As in, wristband printed. Room assigned. Chart opened. A name entered into the system as if they could still respond if someone called it. She said the first time she saw it, she assumed it was a protocol she didn't understand. A body brought in through the wrong entrance. A morgue transfer misrouted. But when she checked the paperwork, time of death was clearly written. Not smudged. Not questionable. Official. And yet a senior nurse stepped forward and said calmly, "We'll take them." Take them where? The morgue was down a different corridor. Everyone knew that. But the nurse didn't say morgue. She didn't say release. She said admit. My friend hesitated because your hands don't want to do something your brain refuses to accept. Then the nurse leaned in and spoke low enough that the paramedics couldn't hear. Print the band. Don't make a scene. So she printed it. The printer chirped like it always did. A plastic band slid out with the patient's name, birthday, bed number, and they put it on the wrist. That was the detail she couldn't shake. You don't band a body like that unless you keep pretending it's still a person you can care for. She told herself it wouldn't happen again. It did, 1 week later. Same hour. Different name, same outcome. It happened enough times that she started to recognize the pattern. And the pattern always ended the same way. The stretcher disappeared into a wing that the night staff avoided like it was contagious. That wing had a normal sign. Nothing dramatic. But nobody called it by its real name at night. They used vague phrases. That side, down there, the old corridor. When she asked why, someone told her, "It's just a staffing thing. Renovation, overflow." But if it was just overflow, why did everyone's voice change when the doors opened? One night she followed. Not closely, she wasn't trying to get fired. She just needed to see where they went. The hall lights got dimmer. The air got colder. The smell changed from disinfectant to something damp, like an unused room with old carpet. There was a door propped open with a wedge. She stood at the threshold and saw a room set up like any other patient room. Bed, monitor, IV pole. But the monitor line was flat. A nurse stood beside the bed, not working, not checking vitals, just standing, head slightly tilted like she was listening. My friend backed away. A second later, the nurse turned and looked right at her. Not angry, not surprised. More like she expected her. The nurse smiled, small and polite, then walked past her without a word, as if nothing about this was unusual. Back at intake, she did what people do when they read trying to stay sane. She looked for something objective. Records. She pulled up the patient's chart. It showed. Admitted. Under observation. Medication log slots created. Nursing notes fields. Available, but no one had written. Deceased. No one had entered time of death in the system. It was like the system itself refused to accept what the paperwork said. That's when she started noticing something worse. The next morning, some charts looked cleaned. Not deleted, just altered enough to make questions harder. A room assignment changed. A timestamp shifted. A note field blank that she swore had been filled. So she began taking pictures of the screen with her phone, quickly, like a thief. And that worked, until the night the hospital pushed back. A body arrived. Time of death recorded. Same routine. But this time the senior nurse didn't take the clipboard calmly. She looked straight at my friend and said, "No phones on the desk." My friend didn't argue. She set her phone aside. The nurse placed the paperwork down and said something that made my friend's throat tighten. "Let's do this right tonight." At around 3 a.m., the elevator bell chimed. The doors opened. A gurney rolled out. No one pushing it. It moved slowly, steady, like someone invisible was guiding the handle. On top was a body bag. The zipper was partly open, just enough to show the face. The nurse who told me this story spoke like she was reading from a memory she didn't want to own. She worked nights in ICU. She said there was one room everyone avoided complaining about because it sounded insane. ICU 3, a room that never stayed consistent. The first time she noticed it was a simple check. She entered ICU 3 and saw an older woman, sedated, stable. She logged it and moved on. 15 minutes later, a monitor pinged. Minor, she returned to ICU 3. A man was in the bed. Different face, different body, different setup. She stepped back into the hall and checked the number. ICU 3, she checked the chart. The chart showed the man, like the woman had never existed. She asked another nurse, casual, "Who's in 3? The answer, "The male in 3. Same as always. Same as always." That phrase hit like a threat, because it meant either she was losing her mind, or the building was. Over the next week, it happened again and again. Patient, 1 hour. Someone else later, records always matched the new patient, not corrected, not edited, just replaced. Then came the night the unit admitted a young critical patient. The nurse worked him for hours, med changes, notes, checks, real work. She remembers his face because she thought he might not make it. She stepped out for supplies for less than a minute. When she returned, he was gone. A different patient was in the bed, stable, calm, breathing normally. Her documentation was gone too. Not overwritten, not crossed out, gone. She tried to raise alarm. Charge nurse, supervisor, anyone. The response was the same kind of calm that's more terrifying than shouting. ICU 3 has been occupied by this patient all night. Then the charge nurse leaned in and whispered, "Stop saying that. Not you're wrong. Not we'll investigate. Stop saying it." Like the room listened. She began using the only proof that doesn't argue. Photographs, whiteboard names, monitor board, door number. But her photos didn't match reality later. She would take a picture of the board showing one name, then check it later and the picture would show a different name than what she remembered taking. She thought she was cracking up, until a coworker quietly said, "Delete that. Don't keep those. Delete the proof." She quit. Months later, at a completely different hospital, she walked past a ward and saw the young critical patient again. Alive. Sitting up. He looked at her like he recognized her. He smiled politely. Then he looked away like nothing happened. And she realized the worst possibility wasn't paranormal. The worst possibility was that ICU 3 wasn't changing patients. It was changing records of reality. This was told by a night porter, one of the invisible workers who moves through the hospital like a ghost without anyone noticing. He said maternity was warm during the day. At night, it felt like a place that wanted to stay quiet. His job was simple: move files, move supplies, move patients when needed. Then he noticed something he couldn't explain. He kept being asked to bring the same newborn admission file down to records, twice. Same mother, same room, same baby ID, different timestamps. He delivered the duplicate file and the records clerk stared at it too long. "This is the second one," she said. He expected her to call someone. Instead, she stamped it and slid it into a drawer like she wanted it gone. Like it was safer to process it than question it. On the way back, he passed a maternity room with the door cracked open. He heard a woman's voice repeating the same sentence. "Please, Dawn, to take him again. Again, again, again." He knocked, worried. Silence. He opened the door slightly. The room was empty. Bed made. No mother. No baby. No bags. Like it had been erased. He followed faint crying to the nursery window. Inside, a nurse rocked a newborn. She looked up and met his eyes through the glass. Her expression didn't change. She mouthed 2 words. "Go back." He backed away. A week later, a file fell open in his hands. Inside was a newborn discharge sheet. Under disposition, it didn't say discharged. It said returned. Returned where? Returned to whom? He quit the next morning. As he left, he saw a fresh poster taped up in maternity. Please verify ID bands every time. Someone had underlined it in red ink so hard the paper tore. And he told me something I still think about. Some nights, when he's far from any hospital, he still wakes up hearing a baby cry. Faint, steady, like it's coming from a hallway he can't find.